Coming in hot as the first piece of the Q3 partnered content stuff on D&D Beyond, we have Steinhardt's Guide to the Eldritch Hunt, the player pack, which is very exciting. It would be more exciting if it was the entire 2024 update, but unfortunately I don't make the rules. Although if I did make the rules, there'd probably be far too much stuff on D&D Beyond, so it might actually be for the best, if we're all being honest. Steinhardt's Guide to the Eldritch Hunt is more or less what it sounds like, which is very much a Bloodborne-coded third-party product with a lot of gritty, gothic, and dark flavorings and all sorts of goodies along those lines. And today we are going to go through the subclasses. Hello, my name is Jason. This is the Dungeon Himbo, where I talk about all sorts of stuff and most excitedly talk about all kinds of third-party things on D&D Beyond. Today is a little different for a couple of reasons. For starters, I'm going to start with the D&D Beyond subclasses, and then I'm going to talk about the rest of the subclasses in the 2024 update, the 5.5e update. And along with that, this is also my first ever sponsored video. Thank you ever so much to Monkey DM and the wonderful team who are behind Steinhardt's Guide to the Eldritch Hunt. So before we do that, let's talk about the book, shall we? This is fantastic news for all fans of Bloodborne, Eldritch horror, and blood and bone in general, although I think most people like having blood and bones, because Steinhardt's Guide to the Eldritch Hunt is getting a player pack on D&D Beyond, which brings with it 7 subclasses, 2 unique species options, 16 horrifying spells, including one which lets you turn your arm into a cannon, like a very messed up Mega Man, and multiple new weapons and firearms, some of which can transform in the middle of a fight. This book was made for me. This is my book. You'll be able to electrify enemies with the Path of the Lightning Vessel Barbarian, embrace the Holy with the Blade of Radiance Rogue, and turn your blood into a weapon with the Bloodhound Fighter, among a few others. This might be the closest thing to a Bloodborne remake we'll ever get, and I'm not sad about that at all. Not at all. I'm fine, thank you for asking. Best thing about all of this, of course, is that it's out right now. You can go and get it on D&D Beyond. Not only that, but Steinhardt's Guide to the Eldritch Hunt is getting a 5.5e update as well, which sees even more of the subclasses, species options, and the amazing Eldritch invocations, including the Pact of the Trigger and all of its offshoots, a massive amount of horrifying creatures, and an entire madness system with over 300 different effects for when you get too many eyes on the inside, and you just can't help but shout all of your thoughts out loud, or potentially even transform into a horrifying beast and accidentally eat your mates. If you play anywhere other than D&D Beyond, you'll be able to grab the book and even build a campaign in the dying city of Liana, complete with its mind-warping moon cycles and the factions who seek to claim power for themselves, or just let the rot wash over them. A very good time to be specifically a D&D fan and also a Bloodborne fan. So I am the Venn diagram, I am the circle at this point. Super glad a heatwave is kicking in just as I start to record all of this. Thanks, the UK. The UK is the true Eldritch horror. Anyway, there's going to be lots of horror themed things here today, so if you don't like that, probably don't watch this. Just buy it instead and reflavor it. I'm sure you can manage that. Let's get to the review of the subclasses, shall we? Also look at this art. I am legitimately giddy about the chance to talk about this, and I cannot wait to build with some of these subclasses. It has my favourite paladin subclass I think I've ever seen. I'm genuinely hyped. Obviously, as this is sponsored, feel free to take anything I say with a grain of salt, but if you've been watching me for any amount of time, you know that I have no way of hiding how I actually feel about things. The excitement is legit, the lack of excitement is unfortunately also legit, so you'll be able to tell what I think of everything. I am not an actor having to use Edge to use the PDF. Truly. That is also Eldritch. Anyway, say goodbye to the cleric beast and say hello to the Path of the Lightning Vessel Barbarian. Look at this dude and his incredibly cool spear. Brings me so much joy. A lightning vessel is a brute, a monster of battle. Their bodies overflowing with lightning, they arrive unexpectedly, often dropping from buildings or leaping impossible distances before crashing down amidst the fight. The presence of a single lightning vessel is often enough to turn the tides of battle. Their ferocious electricity rampages through their weapons, leaving a trail of charred corpses in their wake. If one ends up face to face against such a monitor, there is no running away. They will catch you, electrocute you, and rend your corpse. Honestly, it seems like overkill, but I respect it. Although vital in the fight against the Scourge, their recklessness causes fear in the heart of friend and foes alike. This book is dark. It's an Eldritch horror book. Expect dark things. Anyway, at level 3, you get Galvanic Heart. Lightning is a part of you. It flows through your veins and awaits release. I was going to say your release. You gain resistance to lightning damage, and if you already have this resistance, if you're a dragonborn or something, for example, you can reduce the lightning damage further. To determine the amount reduced, roll a number of d6s equal to your rage damage bonus and add them together after the resistance applies. I think that's a really interesting way to not give someone immunity, but to reward them for already having the resistance and kind of committing to the bit before they get the subclass, and I think it's really clever. If a feature of this subclass requires a saving throw, the DC equals 8 plus your con modifier and your proficiency bonus, so you want to go hard and con for this. And some of your features use vessel damage. To turn that extra damage, roll the number of d4s equal to your rage damage bonus and add them together. Your vessel damage is always lightning damage. Level 3, you also get Unbound Storm, and this is where things get incredibly cool. While your rage is active, you can unleash lightning with the following options. Electrified Chains. You can take a bonus action to create chains of lightning that wrap around your weapon. The next time you hit a creature this turn, it takes your vessel damage, which is the d4s, and becomes ensnared by the chains, which anchor to the ground until the start of your next turn. Each time it attempts to move more than 10 feet while ensnared, it must make a strength athletics check against your vessel save DC, freeing itself on a success. On a failure, it takes your vessel damage again, and its speed is reduced to 0 until the start of your next turn. The each time there is a bit weird wording-wise, but you get the vibe. Fulgurant Strike. When you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack, you can leave the weapon embedded in their chest for a brief moment, and immediately take a bonus action to call down lightning from the heavens to strike above, using the weapon as a conduit before retrieving it. The target takes your vessel damage, and each other creature in a 5-foot emanation originating from the target must succeed on a dexterity saving throw, or also take that damage. You have advantage on that dex saving throw. I think you have advantage anyway, because it's barbarians, but I can't remember what level that kicks in. But, you know, it's nice to have that no matter what. And finally, Lightning Step. As a bonus action, you can move up to half your speed. During this rush, your body becomes supercharged. If you end this movement within 5 feet of a creature, it takes your vessel damage as the lightning leaps to them. If there are multiple creatures, choose one that takes that damage. So we have 3 bonus action options here, which I actually think is really good for a barbarian, because as long as you don't need to keep your rage active, which you probably don't if you're using one of these, you generally have your bonus action free outside of a few somewhat niche builds for barbarians, so giving them 3 bonus action options is just good design. You've also got a control option, a pure damage option, and a movement option as well, so ticking all the boxes there. Level 6, you get Roaring Crash. You are ready to leap into battle at a moment's notice, crashing down on your foes like thunder from the heavens. As part of entering your rage, you can leap into the air and crash down on a space on the ground you can see within 30 feet of yourself that isn't occupied by a huge or larger creature. Each creature in a 10-foot emanation originating from the destination space must make a dex saving throw, taking twice your vessel damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. If a creature is in the destination space, it has disadvantage on the saving throw, and is pushed 5 feet out of the space to an unoccupied space of their choice. If no unoccupied space is available within that range, the creature has the prone condition instead. When you reach level 10 in Barbarian, the distance increases to 60, and at level 14 it goes up to 90, and the size of the creature goes up as that happens as well. This is just a nice little bonus for activating a rage, which you're going to be doing because you're a Barbarian. And while you do get the... let me see if I can remember the specific name. Instinctive Pounce, which lets you move half your movement speed when you enter rage anyway as a barbarian. This is a lot flashier, and also potentially a chunk of damage as well. It's also just a sick visual. The idea of a character disappearing and then reappearing on top of a creature in the middle of a group of creatures is sublime. So, big fan. Level 10, you get Lightning Reflexes. The lightning you wield enhances your reflexes past what your body could normally handle. As a result, when you make a dexterity check, you gain a bonus equal to your con modifier. In addition, while your rage is active, you can use Lightning Step once on each of your turns without taking a bonus action. Lightning Step is the free half your speed thing. Well, now it's free. With half your speed, someone takes damage. That means that this is not only a massive boost to utility, because you're adding your con to your dex checks, which is fantastic, and it reminds you that the initiative is also a dexterity check, which is wonderful, but it also means that you are not only getting more movement, again, which is great, but also a little bit more damage just for doing that too. It's huge. I love it. And then the final feature here is Electric Beast. You are one with the lightning that flows through you. You can add your Constitution modifier to your vessel damage, and the options of your Unbound Storm improve in the following ways. The chains check happens on 5 feet instead of 10 feet, and on a failure, the creature no longer can use reactions too. The Fulgurant Strike increases the emanation to 10 feet instead of 5 feet. and you can choose a number of creatures equal to your con modifier to succeed on that automatically. And the lightning step, instead of moving up to half your speed, you can move your entire speed, and if you don't want to move, you can just teleport instead, which is sick. Because as a reminder, you can do that once per turn for free, every single turn while you're Angie. And you're always going to be Angie because you're a lightning barbarian with childhood trauma, based on the description that I cut out of the thing. I think this is just sick, and I also think it's a really good example of what Steinhardt is doing really, really well. It's filling subclasses and everything really to the absolute brim with FromSoft flavor, almost specifically From Software flavor. And as somebody with an Artorias tattoo, that does speak to me quite deeply. But it's also making it mechanically not only sound, but really fairly powerful as well. I don't think this is broken by any means. I do think it's one of the stronger barbarian subclasses, but I don't think that's a bad thing. And it gives it, like I said, you're getting control, you're getting damage, and you're getting movement as well. It's just cool. Also, the artwork was sick. Next, we have the Druid of Symbiosis. We skipped a bard one and a cleric subclass as well, but we will come back to those. I'm going to review those after I've done the D&D Beyond ones. Made sense to split it in my mind. As you can see, this is the archetypal folk horror deered skull woodman, which is a banger. We do have a circle of the symbiote already, which might be from Crooked, maybe, or Grimhoff. I feel like it's from one of those. But that's more about tanking. This is not more about tanking. This is like a pretty solid melee kind of option, I think, personally. It's good at tanking too, though. Has to be if you're in melee. The Circle of Symbiosis allows druids devoted to nature to become one with it, in the most real sense of the word. These druids have mastered Osteommancer, which is bone magic. Bone wizard would be overjoyed. There is in fact a bone wizard subclass. I don't think it was inspired by him, but I could be wrong. They've mastered Osteomancer and use it to sever their own limbs and replace them with fragments of the natural world to become awakened symbiotic entities. Something others would decry as aberrations, they graft one or multiple limbs to their body. Deer hind legs replace their own, tree branches take over their arms, and the most devoted and zealous replace their head with that of an animal. By reveling in such powers, the Circle of Symbiosis seeks to make all living beings one with nature or else. No sacrifice is too great for the cause. As these druids age, they become indistinguishable from their grafts, their humanity slowly waning to make for something more implacable, more unyielding. These practices have shunned them. Their practices have shunned them from most civilized locales, a punishment that hasn't stopped them from recruiting or abducting more to join their cause. Level 3, you get your spells, which is Arm Cannon, Calcified Memories, Fractured Shell, Phalangeal Shot, and Chalet. Level 3. Level 5, it's Displacing More and Osseous Impalement. Level 7 is Dread, Scarecrow, and Maiden of Bones. Level 9 is Forest of Dread and Tree Stride. I will be going over the spells in tomorrow's video. I am baiting you into watching a second one of my video. You're just going to have to deal with that. Maybe I am good at YouTube, just for this brief moment. Also at level 3, you get Grafted Powers. Basically, you get to pick one of these, and then you just get it permanently. You can get Bareback, so that you count as one size larger when determining your carrying capacity and whether you can grapple a creature. In addition, you can add your Wisdom modifier to your strength checks, which is a really cool feature. The Astral Self Monk gets that as well. It's just great. Deerhead gives you advantage on your perception checks, and Goat Hooves gives you advantage on saving throws to avoid the prone condition, along with giving your climb speed equal to your speed, which is really funny. I don't know if funny is the right word, but the idea that you've just got mountain goat hooves is it really tickles me. These elements can be visible or not, or they can be represented by other natural aspects. Choose at your own discretion when you gain this feature. Also at level 3, we get the big one here, which is the Wickerbone Behemoth. As a bonus action, while you aren't wearing any armor or holding a shield, you can expend one use of your wild shape to awaken nature's anger and turn into a behemoth. A deer skull, wooden skin, goat hooves, or other such natural gifts overtake your body for the next 10 minutes, or until you use your wild shape feature again, you gain the following benefits. Each arm counts as a club under the effect of the Shillelagh spell. You can use the weapon mastery property of the weapons, which I want to say is slow for the club. You can otherwise use your hands normally to manipulate objects or cast spells, but you have disadvantage on sleight of hand checks made with them, in case you're trying to do any pickpocketing while you're a giant monstrosity. You are under the effect of the Bark Skin spell with no concentration required, which you have an AC of 17, and whenever a creature damages you with an attack, your skin splinters and each creature of your choice within 5 feet of you takes 1d4 piercing damage. Starting at level 10, this goes up to 2d4 piercing damage. I would like that to scale up again, maybe at level 14 or 15 to like 44 probably, but It's fine. And the stress of battle stimulates your organism to fight and survive. At the start of each of your turns, you regain hit points equal to half the damage taken since the start of your previous turn, up to a maximum of 5 times your proficiency bonus, which doesn't work if you're unconscious. That's a pretty complicated ability and requires a little bit of bookkeeping, but I like it. And I do think that one of the biggest issues with some of the first party stuff is that it's sanded off too much of the friction of D&D and has left it uninteresting, which is why you get so many temp health and teleport effects. Level 6, you get extra attack, nice and easy. You can also cast one of your cantrips in place of one of those attacks, meaning that it's just like a super extra attack, which I'm here for. Level 10, you get Nature's Wrath. Your natural grafts succumb to your osteomantic powers and allow you to tap deeper into Nature's Fury. You are permanently under the effects of the Bark Skin spell, which is lovely. In addition, while your Wickerbone Behemoth feature is active, your size is large, and when you take the attack action, you gain resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage until the end of your next turn. You lose those resistances early if you take fire damage. I love a good weakness. I do. For friend and foe. It's something I really wish D&D did more of. That's sick. Finally, at level 14, you get Briarheart. Let me move it. There we go. Your fusion is complete. Yay! Your heart is absorbed. Is sacrifice making way for a new heart, one that can fully channel the rage of the natural world. While you are a behemoth of your wicker behemoth feature, I'm adding extra syllables to words now. You can use the Nick mastery property in addition to the slow mastery property with your arms. I was right, it was slow. In addition, if you take the attack action on your turn, you can take a bonus action to cast any Osteomancy spell that has a casting time of an action. You're just much better at everything you want to be doing. You can more consistently attack while also getting more out of your bonus action, which is very, very clever. So you're getting 3 attacks there instead of 2 because of the Nick mastery, and then you're also getting to cast a full spell instead of just healing word. It's great. It's good stuff. Big fan. What a sick subclass. Full cryptid hours, big annihilation vibes, I think. Not that I've seen the film. I want to see the film, but I'm a coward. Outside of D&D, weirdly, I love horror in my TTRPGs. Don't love horror anywhere else. Best not to read into it too much. Next up, we have the fighter Bloodhound. Bloodhounds are cursed beings that should not exist. Birthed from nightmarish experiments by the Obitus Scholare? Or Scholar with like an implied E. Scholar? We've gotten distracted. These hunters use a cursed method of fighting, weaving their own blood into attacks to produce supernatural effects. Their powers come from tar blood, an amalgamation of hundreds of species' blood that was forcefully injected into the veins of the hunters. Those who didn't die or go insane during the procedure become the first bloodhounds. Only they and their descendants can wield this vicious power. Take a moment to enjoy the artwork. It's sick, as is everything else in this book, meant in both meanings of the term. Level 3, you get Bloodstrike. You learn to unleash destructive properties of your blood. When you gain this feature, you learn 3 Bloodstrike options of your choice, which you can see below. Once per turn, when you make the weapon attack as part of the attack action, you can apply one of your Bloodstrike options to that attack. You can decide to use the option before or after the attack hits, unless the option doesn't involve an attack roll. When you use a Bloodstrike, you take necrotic damage equal to 1 roll of its blood cost. The damage cannot be reduced or prevented. A Bloodstrike is considered a magical effect. I really like the fact that it notes that, because I was in a session recently where we had an anti-magic cone, and there are some features which seem magical but do not state that they are magical, and it is just nice when the rules are clear with this stuff. You can use this feature a number of times equal to +1 plus your con mod, minimum of once. You gain all uses on a short or long rest. You also get an additional option at 5, 9, 13 and 17, and when you learn a new one, you can replace an old one with a different one. The DC for any of these features, if it requires them, is 8 plus your con plus your proficiency bonus. Also at level 3, you get Bloodhound Anatomy. Your body adapts to the tar blood within, you are immune to magical contagions, have resistance to poison damage, and advantage on saving throws to avoid or end the poison condition. In addition, once you fought a creature, you can relentlessly track it. Sensing the blood of your prey, you have advantage on investigation or perception or survival checks to find the creature to which you have dealt damage and that has blood. Sick ribbon feature. I promise not to use the word sick too many times. Level 7, you get Blood Armament. While you're wielding a weapon and do not have the unconscious condition, that weapon is considered blood-coated. Such a weapon can deal your choice of acid, necrotic, or poison damage instead of its normal damage type, which is nice for resistances and whatnot. And also if you want to go down the big poison route, that's pretty handy, or Elemental Adept or something, although that might just be spells, actually. I think it is just spells. Also at level 7, you get Blood Explosion. When you make an attack roll with a blood-coated weapon and miss, you can immediately take a bonus action to detonate the blood. The target and each other creature other than you in a 5-foot emanation originating from the target must make a con saving throw. On a failed save, a target takes damage as if it was hit by the weapon. What a great way of turning a miss into something fantastic, especially if you're using a greatsword with greys. So they take damage because you missed them, and then they potentially take yet more damage because you missed them. Missing is optimal now. Level 10, you get Blood of Creation. Your insight into the tar blood within yourself. Nope, you further your insight into the tar blood within yourself. You gain the following benefits. When you roll the blood cost of a blood strike, you can reroll the result and choose the lower number, so you can take less damage. And whenever you finish a long rest, you can replace one blood strike option you know with a different one, which is lovely. I love the flexibility. Blood Symphony. All are unmade by the blood. We are made whole by the blood. I am desperate to play Bloodborne again. Why isn't it on PC? Why is Sony like this? It's fine. Whenever you use a blood strike, you regain hit points equal to your con modifier. In addition, if the target dies within 1 minute of being damaged by a blood strike, which is very likely statistically, you regain one expended use of your blood strike feature, which means you probably just have infinite blood strikes at that point. And at level 18, improved blood strike, all of your blood strike options improve. Let's go through a couple of the blood strike options, but not all of them. So Bewitching Strike costs 1d10 as damage. You infuse a Fey blood into your attack. A creature hit by the attack takes an extra 2d6 psychic damage and must make a wisdom saving throw. If it fails the save, you can choose one of the target's allies within 30 feet of it. The target now considers that ally as an enemy until the start of your next turn. Sick. And the damage goes up to 4d6 when you reach level 18. Let's do Blood Shard Strike, shall we? You unleash a thread of sharp blood from your weapon, which instead of an attack roll fires forward in a 1 foot wide, 60-foot long line before disappearing. The blood passes harmlessly through objects and ignores cover. Each creature in that line must make a dex saving throw, taking damage as if it were hit by the weapon, plus an extra d6 piercing damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one, and the extra damage goes up to 3d6 when you reach level 18. Very cool. And let's go for Exiling Strike as the final one. Another d10 one. You use Celestial Blood to try to temporarily banish your creature to a harmless location in the Celestial Plane. A creature hit by the attack must succeed on a charisma saving throw or be banished. While banished, its speed is 0 and it has the incapacitated condition. At the end of its next turn, the target reappears in the space it left or in the nearest unoccupied space if the damage is occupied. At level 18, the target also takes 2d6 radiant damage when the attack hits it. As you can see, these are all about giving you a little bit more flexibility as a fighter, and are also all based around different blood types as well, to really lean into the fantasy of I have too much blood in my blood. Magneto style. Very cool. This is one we'll look at later, but it's sick. Look at it. It's Paladin time, baby! Do you know how often I get excited about Paladins? It's not very often. I just don't vibe with the class. They're too much of a goody two-shoes for me. But this guy, look at that sword. Look at that Slave Knight Gale pose that's going on here. The final boss of Dark Souls 3, for those of you who do not know. It seems like I'm flexing my FromSoft knowledge. It's because I love the company and everything they put out, pretty much. Apart from the Shadows of the Erdtree DLC. Anyway, this is the Oath of the Eldritch Hunt. The Oath of the Eldritch Hunt is sworn to the eradication of the unnatural, the aberrant, and the alien. These hunters tread a fine line, enhancing themselves with their prey's powers whilst trying to maintain their own sanity. Fortunately, this frenzied hunger drives many to madness, and it's no rare occurrence for these paladins to have to hunt their own. The oath is found most frequently amongst paladins of the Radiant Order, erroneously nicknamed Grey Templars, witch hunters, and knights aberrant. These oft-deformed warriors devote themselves to obliterating the scourge and its creations. The tenets of the Eldritch Hunt resolve. Through willpower and tenacity, the strain of the hunt is endured. Aching limbs and ailing minds are no reason to fall short. It's a lot like parenting. Respect. Take life only when doing so protects others. Kill the bloodshed enamor your soul, and your hunter becomes the beast. And also responsibility. Many rely on your talent to survive the moonlit nights. No matter the circumstances, do not fail them. Sacrifice your own body so that others can retain the sanctity of their own untainted forms. It's so cool! Level 3, you get Hunt the Prey. As a bonus action, you can expend one of your channel divinities to call upon the sanctified hunt. You designate a creature within 60 feet of you as your prey, marking the target for 1 minute. When you use this feature, and as a bonus action on subsequent turns, you can magically teleport up to 60 feet to an unoccupied space you can see within 5 feet of the marked target. To teleport this way, you must be able to see the marked target. You also get your Oath spells at level 3. At level 3, you get Fairy Fire and Spectral Slash. Level 5, you get Moonbeam and Hold Person. Level 9 is Displacing Maw and Spectral Fury. Level 13 is Black Tentacles and Maiden of Bones.
Level 17 is Contact Other Plane and Hold Monster. Those are all good spells, and if you don't know what the new ones do, which is completely reasonable, again, you can find out tomorrow. You also get Stolen Eldritch Gift at level 3. Your body is enhanced beyond mortal limits. You can add your charisma modifier to any athletics, perception, and survival checks that you make. Nifty little ribbon feature. At level 7, you get Sharpened Senses. You will learn to read your prey and find their flaws. When a creature is in your aura of protection, you learn any immunities, resistances, or vulnerabilities that it has. And you also have blind sight within the range of your aura of protection, which is very cool. Level 15 is Relentless Pursuit. When you use your Hunt the Prey feature to teleport, you can make a single weapon attack against the marked target when you reappear as part of the same bonus action. And finally, at level 20 is Perfect Hunter. You are the embodiment of the Eldritch Hunt. None can get in the way of your kill. As a bonus action, you activate the power of the True Hunter. For the next 10 minutes, you gain the following benefits. Your weapon attacks deal an extra 1d8 necrotic damage. This damage ignores resistance and immunity to necrotic damage. You are immune to grappled, paralyzed, and restrained conditions, and you have the invisible condition. You just become invisible, which is very cool. I think this subclass is incredibly cool. The vibes are spot on. The use of the aura protection for Sharpened Senses is really interesting. I don't feel like that's a version of the aura we've seen before, and I like it a lot. The ribbon feature is a nice little bonus, and the channel divinity use is just really cool. I would be torn when building this between going big old sword build to make the most of that bonus action attack at level 15 and for going for something like a thrown weapon build with the Grim Hollow Thrown Weapon Master, because I'm greedy. But yes, fantastic paladin subclass. I think the power is more in the utility of it, especially with smites also being bonus actions. But I think having something really cool to do with your channel divinity and the mobility of all of it makes it very, very strong. A Spectral Slash, as a brief preview, I think it's a magic action or a bonus action, and it lets you take the other one to follow up the slash and also attack. So there's lots of movement in this subclass, which is really cool for potentially a heavy armor wearing character. Next, we have the Torturer Conclave. It's a friendly bunch. Probably have to skip a bunch of things in terms of the flavor. Do you know what? There's the flavor. You get the vibe, right? There's the art. You get the vibe, right? Oh, the artwork is sick. Disclaimer, please be advised that while some may use torture as a plot device or as a means of gathering information, it is a sensitive and disturbing topic. Yes, it is. You gain proficiency with torture tools as part of the subclass, which you can use to inflict exhaustion on creatures and also potentially deal damage to them if you spend an hour torturing them, which is a little rough. And you also get you get to add your proficiency bonus twice to any intimidation checks against creatures you have used these tools on previously. There are the tools. Level 3, you get Tools of the Trade. You've learned to interrogate and use implements of torture. You gain proficiency with torture tools and the insight skill. You also have expertise with them. I assume that means expertise in torture tools and not both torture tools and insight skill, but I'm not sure. It is worth noting that the version I'm reading is not a finalized version, so they might fix that wording by the time you're seeing this. So yeah. Also at level 3, you get Torturer Techniques. You learn to use techniques unlike others who require patience and careful preparation. You make use of techniques that are fueled by your magic, letting you employ torture tools. Yeah, wording's a little off. Letting you employ torture tools in the midst of hunts. No creature too alien or too resolute. No creature is too alien or too resolute to escape your methods. You can use each technique twice and then regain all uses when you finish a long rest. You can expend one use of your favoured enemy feature to regain one use of a technique. I talked about this in a video like a week and a half ago about the Hollow Warden Rager, about how more interesting uses for favoured enemy is incredibly good design, but also goes against the fact that 3 of the key features of the Ranger are about Hunter's Mark. I think this is the better way to do it, by turning favoured enemy into a wild shape-esque feature. I also think that Ranger is fighting against itself. Tooth and nail. A little torture pun for you. That's so dark. You can use each technique twice and regain... I already said that. When you hit a creature with a melee weapon, attack, or an unarmed strike while you have torture tools in one hand, or a free hand and the presence of torture tools at your disposal, such as strapped to your leg, as part of the attack you can use a technique to enhance it in some way. You can use a technique only once per turn, though you can use different techniques in the same turn, and you can only use one technique per attack. So you can do multiple techniques if you're hitting multiple times, but you would not be able to, for example, use 2-weapon fighting in this because you wouldn't have a spare hand most of the time. When you use a technique, you can empower it by expending a spell slot, no action required. When you do so, you inflict extra damage to the target, and the target subtracts a number of d4s from the saving throws against the technique. So as you can see here, if you use a level 1 spell slot, you deal extra damage equal to your wisdom modifier, and the saving throw penalty is a 1d4. And then a level 5 spell is 5 times the wisdom modifier and minus 5d4. So that scales really well and really simply. Gosh, I love that. You can also empower a technique if you expend one use of your favorite enemy feature, which counts as a level 1 spell slot. This subclass really wants you to use your favorite enemy feature, not to cast Hunter's Mark, which, you know, I respect. Let's see. Let's go for... I'll read 2 of these. Let's see which 2 I think I can read. I'm gonna be real with you. All of these are bad in terms of like stuff I'm willing to read on a video. You can take parts of the victim's flesh. They take damage, which is bad. You can make their eyes worse, if you get my drift. You can make their legs worse. You can scrape their nerves. Yeah, they're all bad, and upgrading them is good. And basically, at specific levels, if you can get the technique off on a creature twice in a row, they get some really cataclysmic effects. Anyway, level 7, we get Depraved Mind. You've seen the worst depravities that plague this world and have committed most of them. You are immune to the frightened condition and gain resistance to psychic damage. In addition, if a creature attempts to read your mind or telepathically talk to you against your will, it must first make a wisdom saving throw against your technique save DC. On a failed save, it witnesses the horrors within your mind. It takes psychic damage equal to your level and fails to communicate with you. On a successful save, it can interact with you in this way for 1 minute without making the saving throw. Very edgy, but also very fitting thematically, right? Level 11 is Veil of Pain. When you damage a creature with your torture techniques, you can attempt to rattle its mind with the pain. The target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or start disassociating your presence, its mind refusing to acknowledge the anguish you are causing it, only perceiving you as a flicker. You have the invisible condition to the target for 1 minute, and the target repeats the save at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on a success. You can do this a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier and regain all uses on a long rest. Incredibly cool flavor, but again, very dark. Level 15, Mental Agony. You know how to cause pain to your quarry, both physically and mentally. When a creature you can see within 60 feet of yourself that failed a saving throw against one of your torture techniques since the start of your last turn makes an intelligence, wisdom, or charisma saving throw, you can take a reaction to flourish your blades, smile, or perform a similar terrifying display. The target subtracts 1d10 from a saving throw. Creatures that are immune to the frightened condition are immune to this effect. It's kind of a weak end point there. Just giving you a reaction to potentially make a save worse isn't great. You can obviously use these theoretically to empower your own techniques, but they're probably going to be better off with you bolstering like a wizard's banishment or hold monster or something. So it's a nice support feature, but it's a little underwhelming when compared to most of the other stuff that you're doing. And this is really a subclass you want to take to 17th level at least because of the spell slot progression and how well that does progress. Or you don't have to, it doesn't say ranger spell slot, at least in this version of it, so it's possible you could take a few levels in cleric, probably from level 11, take a few levels in cleric from there to get better spell slot progression and then better features from that, if that's what you wanted to do. So yeah, next is the Blade of Radiance. This is a good guy one. Look at it. Blades of Radiance, also called the Steel Saints, are known to be one of the most lethal orders of the church. In addition, in order to become a blade, one must be a devout follower of the faith, as only those who would die for the cause are deemed worthy. Prospective members are trained within the walls of the church, taking on the clergy as their new kin, discarding whatever familial bonds they may have held onto. Their zealous fervour grants them unrivaled powers on the battlefield, wielding massive weapons as if they were mere toys and infusing their blade with divine powers, breaking down their foes one by one. The Blades of Radiance receive an incredibly diverse range of missions. The most brutal of their members handle gruesome matters in a lethal fashion, whereas those of a more empathetic temperament are tasked with protecting their fellows. Despite this sundering character, they all share one goal, safeguarding the church and its members no matter what. This is a very cool rogue subclass. At level 3, you get Sanctified Champion. Your intense training bears fruit. You gain proficiency with martial weapons and training with medium armor. And if you finish a short rest, you can perform a ritual and a melee weapon you're proficient with that deals piercing or slashing damage, sanctifying it. It becomes your sanctified blade, and you can only have one such blade at a time. The blade has the finesse property for you, and attacks made with it against aberrations, fiends, and undead ignore resistance to damage. Effectively, this allows you to use a greatsword as long as you have enough strength to do so, but still treat it as a finesse weapon, which is kind of cool. Have you ever seen a rogue with Great Weapon Master? Because this might be the time to do it. Let's be honest, you probably have. A Great Weapon Master plus longbows is pretty banging. So, also at level 3, you get Divine Blessings. Your devotion to eradicating enemies of the church manifests as righteous power. You have a pool of divine points equal to 1 plus your wisdom modifier. You regain all expended points when you finish a short or long rest. In addition, whenever you kill an aberration, beast, fiend, or undead of CR 1/2 or higher with your sanctified blade, you regain 1 expended divine point. Love the ability to regain those for killing stuff. Very cool and very fitting. If a feature of the subclass requires a saving throw, the DC is 8 plus your wisdom plus your PB. You can expend your divine points on the following features. You get Armor of the Faithful. As a reaction, when a creature targets you with an attack, you can expend 1 divine point to force that creature to make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the attacker must choose a new target or the attack has no effect. In addition, the attacker can't target you with an attack until the start of your next turn. This feature doesn't protect you from area of effect spells, such as the explosion of a fireball spell. This is cool. It's like a mini sanctuary, which very much fits the vibe that the class is going for, and I am here for it. We then have Divine Inspiration. When you make an intelligence, a history or religion, or an insight check, you can expend 1 divine point to reroll the d20. You must use the new result. You can choose to use this feature after you roll the die, but before the outcome is determined. You gain a bonus to the check equal to your wisdom modifier, which is very nifty. And the final one is Rend the Blasphemous. On your turn, after you take the attack action with your sanctified blade, you can take a bonus action and expend 1 divine point to let the divine hand guide you. Make a weapon attack with it against a creature within your reach. You gain a bonus to your attack roll equal to a wisdom modifier, which means you're a lot more likely to hit, and it's a lot like an extra attack, which rogues don't normally get, which is cool. It's resource based, but you can get that resource back if you kill specific creatures. I'm here for it. And then we have to wait until level 9 for the next feature, because don't think Wizards of the Coast like rogues. The Righteous Armament. Your faith gives you the power to rebel against fate itself. You learn the following features that use your divine points. When you hit a creature with your sanctified blade, you can expend 1 divine point to create holy chains around the creature. The target must make a strength save or take radiant damage equal to a wisdom modifier and have the restrained condition until the end of your next turn. Divine Retaliation. As a reaction, when a creature damages you with a melee attack while you are wielding your sanctified blade, you can expend 1 divine point to make a melee attack with your blade against the creature. You gain a bonus to the damage roll equal to your wisdom modifier. And Erupting Blades. When you hit a creature with an attack that could apply your sneak attack damage, you can forgo damaging the creature with your sneak attack and expend 2 divine points to cause radiant blades to fall on the battlefield. The target in each creature in a 45-foot long, 5-foot wide line originating from the target must make a dex saving throw. On a failed save, a target takes radiant damage equal to your sneak attack damage. On a successful save, a creature takes half. That is the coolest visual, and I adore it. Level 13, Saintly Revelations. You experience revelations, showing you how to channel divine energy to embolden your blade. You learn 2 cantrips of your choice from the cleric spell list. Level 13 is very late to be learning cantrips, but guidance is nice. So, and if you already took the Magic Initiate Cleric feat to begin with, which makes sense, True Strike is very good, then this is just a nice little bonus on top of that. In addition, you always have the Heroism, Protection from Evil and Good, and Shield of Faith spells prepared. With this feature, you can cast these spells at will, targeting only yourself without a spell slot or components. Wisdom is your spellcasting modifier. Starting at Rogue level 17, when you cast these spells using this feature, they don't require concentration, but you can only have 1 spell cast from this feature active at a time. If you cast a second one, the first spell ends. But that's nice if you've picked up other concentration spells from anywhere else. Let's say you did take Magic Initiate Cleric and you took Bless to begin with. You could have Bless and Shield of Faith up, or Bless and Heroism up, which is cool. I really like that. There's no, you only get X amount of uses. These are cool little buff spells, and you just get them all the time. It's sick. The Final Judgment is level 17. Your Sanctified Blade becomes imbued with holy power, granting you the following benefits. As a magic action while wielding the blade, you can cast Spirit Guardians without a spell slot or components. Spirit Guardians also requires concentration, so you can do this and the old ones without any issue. Creatures within the area of the spell for the purpose of your sneak attack are considered within 5 feet of an ally of yours, because the spirits are your friends, which is just... Once you cast the spell with this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest, unless you expend 3 divine points to restore your use of it. You also get Radiant Blade. You can speak a command word, no action required, to cause your blade to emit bright light in a 30-foot radius in dim light for an additional 30 feet. It lasts until you speak the command word again or until you stow your weapon. While emitting light in this way, the weapon is considered a magic weapon, and attacks made with it deal an extra 2d4 damage on a hit. It's just a nice little bonus. You can do that whenever you want. It's sick. There's a lot of damage buffs in this class, along with a lot of survival buffs as well, and just some really good utility. And I like the fact that you get a lot of the utility stuff really at level 1. It's very, very cool. It's also really nice to see a wisdom as a secondary stat instead of just intelligence, which is what rogue usually ends up with. I'd love to see a charisma based one other than the swashbuckler swashbuckler. But yeah, this is just, it's amazing. I love it. Our final subclass for the D&D Beyond player pack is the Osteommancer wizard subclass. Osteomancers are powerful wizards who understand the power that can be harvested from bones. Often said to be cursed and talked about under the cover of night, this sort of magic makes the uneducated shiver and the scholar morbidly curious. Those who have the cunning, bravery, or simple foolishness to pursue the research in this field find themselves rewarded with afflicted knowledge. These accursed souls are known as Osteomancers. The ability of an Osteomancer are unsettling, if not terrifying to most. Due to the focus on manipulating bones, a topic that is cloaked in mystery and taboo, regular folks regard them as cursed and malevolent beings. Those who see their magic at work have compared it to witnessing a puppet master, bending and twisting enemies to their whim. Many people fail to realize that an Osteomancer's favourite puppet is themselves, and they will readily desecrate their own body in order to crush their opponent. Shall we look at the art? Look at that, dude. Oh, it's so cool. It's so cool. How dare it be so cool? At level 3, you get brittle bone armor. You learn the basics of osteomancy, using it for protection, and as an action, if you're not wearing armor or wielding a shield, you can force a frame of bones out of your body to protect you, granting you temp health equal to twice your wizard level that lasts for 1 hour. While you have the temp health, you gain resistance to piercing and slashing damage, but not bludgeoning, because bludgeoning's pretty good against bones. And you have an AC bonus equal to your proficiency bonus, which is just cool. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest, unless you expend a spell slot of level 2 or higher to restore your use of it. There is a really cool version of this, which has a monstrous AC. You take the altered background or feat from Crooked Moon to boost your AC of 13 plus your con, which is usually going to put you at like a 16 AC, and then you also add this, which is going to have you at 18 AC out the bat, quickly going up to 19 and beyond, which is pretty good for a wizard. Can we just once again take a moment to look at the artwork? What a dude. Also at level 3, you get an anatomical expert. Your pursuit of osteomancy has required many hours studying the anatomy of myriad creatures. You gain proficiency in the medicine skill, and when you make a wisdom, medicine, or survival check, you gain a bonus to the check equal to your wisdom modifier. In addition, when these checks concern a creature that possesses a skeleton, you have expertise in that skill even if you don't have proficiency in the survival skill. Very cool. Level 6, you get bone puppetry. As a magic action, you target one creature you can see within 60 feet of you that has a skeleton. The target must succeed on a strength saving throw against your spell save DC, or you take a total and precise control of its skeleton. Until the end of the creature's next turn, it takes only the actions you choose and doesn't do anything that you don't allow it to do. In the creature's efforts to resist your command, attack rolls it makes against its allies have disadvantage, and its allies have advantage on saving throws from effects caused by the creature. You can only have one such creature under your control at a time, and you can use this feature a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, regaining all use on a long rest. We love to puppet the bones of other creatures. This is just a really cool feature. Strength saves are a little rough depending on the tier of play you're at, but the effect is incredibly powerful. Because a strong enough creature, even if it has disadvantage on its attack rolls against other things, is still going to change the entire tide of battle. So, very cool. Level 10, you get Skeletal Mastery. You're a master of your own body and have the following benefits. Many forms. You can reshape your bones, including those to your face, to appear as a completely different person. You can cast Alter Self without expending a spell slot. When you do so, it doesn't require concentration, and you can only use it for change appearance or the natural weapons option. Also, as a magic action, you can dissolve or restore your own skeleton. While boneless, you become an ooze, basically. You get 10 feet speed, you can move through space as narrow as 1 inch. You're considered as being prone, you can't use your hands or attack, but as a bonus action, you can regenerate the bones in your hands to like open doors and stuff. It's wild. And then the final feature is improved bone puppetry. You've enhanced your mastery of skeletal manipulation. When a creature fails at saving throw against your bone puppetry, you gain control of the target for 1 minute. It was previously until the end of the creature's next turn. The target can't resist your command. It doesn't have disadvantage on attacks against its allies, nor do allies have advantage on saving throws caused by the target. The target does get to repeat the save at the end of each of its turns, and you have to concentrate on the feature, but damage can't break your concentration on it, so it just stops you concentrating on something else. Once under your control, when the target repeats the saving throw against bone puppetry, you can choose to expend one additional use of the feature to give the creature disadvantage on the save. You must do so before deciding on the result of the roll. It's just a cool feature at the end of the day. Nice and simple. I like that subclass a lot. As those of you who have watched any of my stuff before will know, I have a real issue with the School of Magic style of wizard subclass, and the ones which are more interesting are, funnily enough, more interesting to me. The Plague Doctor from Grim Hollow is one of my favourites, for example. I also like the Crooked Moon ones. I like basically all of the third-party ones. It's just the core ones I'm not a huge fan of. Even the Blade Singer is cool, though, right? Anyway, that is the end of the D&D Beyond subclasses, which are all very cool, and I'm really glad we're getting them. But I'm going to now move on to the ones we're not getting on D&D Beyond, but which are being updated, so that those of us who do use D&D Beyond can be sad and consider buying the 5.5e Steinhardt's update. For my sanity, I am going to be skipping past the flavour here because my office is rapidly approaching 30 degrees Celsius and there's no windows in here. First up, we have the Path of the Earthbreaker Barbarian. Look at this absolute boss. Big blue energy from Elden Ring. Absolutely sick. Level 3, you get Overwhelming Power. When you hit with an unarmed strike, you deal bludgeoning damage equal to 1d8 plus your strength mod instead of the normal bludgeoning damage. The die increases at level 6 to 1d10, level 10 to 1d12, and level 14 to 2d6. When you make an unarmed strike against a creature on your turn, you can take a bonus action to make another unarmed strike against the same creature. Your sheer power puts a massive strain on most weapons, shattering them. If you hit with a melee attack with a non-magical weapon, the weapon breaks in your hand and can't be used to make attacks until it is repaired. In addition, the range of thrown weapons is doubled for you. If you hit with one of those weapons, you can use the damage dice above instead of the weapon's usual damage dice. So you're good at thrown weapons as well as punch-in. Very cool. You also get Gravitational Rage. It's wild that that's not the only level 3 feature, frankly. Once per turn, while your rage is active, when you deal damage to a creature with an unarmed strike, you can use one of the following effects. These use your Earthbreaker save DC, which is your strength plus PB plus 8. Burying Hands. The target must succeed on a strength saving throw or have its speed reduced to 0 until the start of your next turn as you partially bury it in the ground. If the target fails a saving throw by 5 or more, it also has the prone condition. If the target isn't on the ground when it fails a save, it immediately falls instead, even if it can hover. You can knock people down. That's big Mashal vibes, where he just constantly buries people up to the neck. You also get Bulldozing Punch. You push the target 10 feet away from you or upwards, your choice. If the target is pushed into an obstacle or another creature, the target takes bludgeoning damage equal to your strength modifier. A target with a strength score equal to or greater than yours make a strength saving throw, avoiding the effects on a success. A target that is pushed upwards must make a DC 10 dex saving throw, avoiding any fall from the damage on a success. Just very cool. Level 6, you get Ruination. The strength you wield is capable of toppling the arcane rules of the world. When you hit a physical barrier created by a spell with an unarmed strike, such as the effect of Wall of Force or Force Cage spell, or any other wall spell, you can make a strength check, rupturing the arcane and dispelling the spell on success. God, that's cool. Also at level 6, you get Imperious Gravity. Once on each of your turns, while your rage is active, you can take a bonus action to create one of the following effects. The range of these effects and the distance they move creatures doubles when you hit level 14. Attractive Field. You unleash a gravitational wave in a 15-foot cone. Each creature in the cone must succeed on a strength saving throw or be pulled at least 10 feet towards you. Repulsive Field. The next time a creature would hit you with an attack, the bubble bursts in a roaring explosion. Each creature in a 10-foot emanation originating from you must make a strength save or be pushed 10 feet away from you. If this pushes the attacker beyond its reach of you, or if the attack was ranged, the attack misses you. If the bubble doesn't burst by the start of your next turn, it harmlessly dissipates. And Stomp, this has got to be Horaloo coded. Fully Horaloo coded. You stomp the ground, causing a destructive quake in a 10-foot long, 5-foot wide line on the ground originating from you. Each creature in the line must make a dex saving throw. On a failed save, a target takes 1d4 bludgeoning damage and has disadvantage on the next strength saving throw it makes before the start of your next turn, as it is thrown off balance. Additionally, the ground in the area becomes difficult terrain until cleared. Each 5-foot square portion of the area requires 1 minute to clear by hand. That's so much. Level 10, your unarmed strikes deal double damage to objects and structures, and you can ignore difficult terrain. That's super cool. In addition, your crushing power seeps into all aspects of your life. You can add your con mod to any acrobatics, intimidation, perception, stealth, or survival checks you make. Very cool. And World Breaker at level 14. Your blows can level the world. That should be the end of the feature. And then just completely up to a DM interpretation from then on. Once on each of your turns, while your rage is active, when you make a melee attack, you can fracture the world. On a hit, the target takes an extra 3d12 bludgeoning damage and is pushed up to 30 feet straight away from you. In addition, hit or miss, the ground in a 90-foot cone in front of you breaks as per the Earthquake spell. You create only one fissure in the area and it doesn't require concentration, and it lasts only until the start of your next turn. You can do this number of times equal to your strength mod, beginning one use on a short rest and all uses on a long rest. That is so damn cool. I think these might be my two favorite barbarian subclasses. I'm so sad that this isn't coming to D&D Beyond. Let's move on. I'm just going to be sad about it. Oh no, I'm going to be even sad. I just remembered. This is the Bard subclass. Yeah. This is the College of the Apocalypse. At level 3, you get Eldritch Choir. You understand how to use the bardic magic to conjure the power of the Great Worms. Great Ones, not Great Worms. You learn 2 Eldritch melodies of your choice, which we'll get to. You need to meet your requirement to do so. As an action, you expend 1 use of bardic inspiration and activate the melody, basically. A creature has to be able to hear you when you take the action in order for this to work, and you can't use the same melody again until you finish a short or long rest. Some of these require concentration. When you finish a long rest, you can delve into what lies beyond the veil, replacing 1 or more melodies. Each time you attempt to replace a melody, make a DC 17 Charisma saving throw. On a failed save, you lose control of your mental journey into the void, and you gain 1 short-term madness. That's why this isn't coming to D&D Beyond. Don't replace that melody, and you can't replace any other melodies until you finish a long rest. You can learn 1 additional melody at 6 and 14. Level 6, Knowledge from Beyond. The maddening revelations that haunt your mind guide you through treacherous void. You know deep speech. Additionally, whenever you make an intelligence check that relates to the cosmos or the eldritch, you gain a bonus to the check equal to a roll of your inspiration die, which does not expend the die. That's nifty. Level 6, you get Devouring Maw. Your words can call beings from beyond the veil. When a creature that possesses a bardic inspiration die from you is targeted by an attack, you can take a reaction to expend the die, summoning an eldritch maw that engulfs and protects it. The target gains resistance to the triggering damage and is ripped through space by the maw, teleporting to a point within 5 feet of you. The reaction fails if you have the incapacitated or unconscious condition, or if you are further than 90 feet away from the target. What a great way to use bardic inspiration that is. And then level 14, Song of the... You always have the Divine Order Transcend spell prepared. You can cast a spell once without expending a spell slot, and you regain the ability to do so on a long rest. In addition, when you cast the spell with this feature, or when you use an Eldritch melody that requires concentration, the apocalypse flows through you. Damage can't break your concentration on the spell or the melody, and you automatically succeed on the saving throws to keep control over the spell. Very cool. Let's go over a couple of the ballads, right? A couple of the Eldritch melodies. I also just want to say very quickly, oh, it's so warm. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's really weird to me that we haven't had this kind of thing on a bard before. Or at least not that I've seen. Bards are all about songs. It's weird that we don't get specific songs that different bards can do to give them buffs. And I know that's kind of what subclass features are. But it's weird, right? It feels weird to me. Anyway, let's do Ballad of the Nameless City, level 3 bard. And then we'll do a high level one as a treat. You channel the name of the lost city of the Great Ones, warping reality. Each creature in a 30-foot emanation originating from you must succeed in a strength saving throw or be pushed up to 10 feet in a direction of your choice and have the prone condition. The maximum distance a creature is pushed on a failed save increases when you reach level 6 to 20 feet or level 14 to 30 feet. Cool. And a high level one. Level 6. Level 14. Assonance of Dreams. You sing a melody that allows travel through the dream realm. You conjure a circular portal up to 20 feet in diameter that links an unoccupied space you can see within 10 feet of yourself, with a precise location you are familiar with within 1 mile of yourself on the same plane of existence. You can orient the portal in any direction you choose, and the portal lasts for 1 minute. Anything that travels through the portal is instantly transported to the location you choose, appearing in an unoccupied space nearest to the location. Very cool. I like it a lot. Also, look at this artwork. Have I mentioned how much I like the artwork? I feel like I should have mentioned that. Pretty sure I have. There are more as well, which is wild. Cleric. This is the Guardian Domain Cleric. You get Aid, Protection from Good and Evil, Sanctuary Warding Bond at level 3, Protection from Energy and Slow at level 5, Guardian of Faith and Resilient Sphere at level 7, and Anti-Life Shell and Wall of Force at level 9. You also get Protective Magic at level 3. When you cast a spell that restores hit points to a creature, the target also gains as many temporary health points rounded down. If a spell targets multiple creatures, choose only one of the creatures to benefit from this effect. Very cool. Also at level 3, as a magic action, you present your holy symbol and expend 1 use of your channel divinity. In a flash of radiance, a guardian angel appears in an unoccupied space of your choice within 30 feet of you. The angel is friendly to you and your companions and obeys your commands. When you gain this feature, choose the nature of your angel, either necrotic or radiant. This choice affects the angel's immunities and damage type of its divine blade attack. You determine the appearance, blah, 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 blah. It's really cool, but like, you get to choose whatever you want. In combat, the angel shares your initiative, but takes its turn immediately after yours. It's standard pet stuff. You have to use a bonus action to command it. Otherwise, it just takes the dodge action. Unless you're incapacitated, in which case you can do whatever it wants. The angel remains for an hour, or until it's reduced to 0 hit points, or until you use the feature again, or die. Very cool. We'll look at the angel stat block in a minute. Level 6, you get Angelic Protection. When you use your channel of divinity to summon a guardian angel, the angel immediately casts Warding Bond without spell components on you or a friendly creature you can see within 30 feet of yourself. That's sick. Oh, that's so cool. Level 6, also you get Divine Punishment. When you gain the Blessed Strikes feature, and later the improved Blessed Strikes feature, your guardian angel can use the Divine Strike option even if you didn't choose that option. That's a lovely damage boost. Very cool. And level 17, defensive ward. When your guardian angel casts a warding bond, which you can do, remember, as you summon it, among other times, you can choose a number of allied creatures, including you, equal to your wisdom modifier within 60 feet of yourself, and it works for all of them. The guardian angel also gets temp health equal to 5 times the number of creatures affected by the spell. Very, very nifty. You can only do that once per long rest. Look at this art, man. Look at that art. It's so good. This is the guardian angel. This is the more eldritch version of it. His name's Dave. It is medium construct. It is unaligned. It has an AC of 10 plus your proficiency bonus and health of 5 plus 5 times your cleric level. It is quite slow. 10 feet hover. That's all. 10 strength, 12, 14 dex, 14 con, 12 int, 14 wisdom, and 10 charisma, so pretty standard. Has resistance to necrotic or radiant, depending on what you choose. Blinded, charmed, frightened, grappled, prone, and restrained. It has blind sight of 60 feet. It understands you. It is incorporeal, so it can move through other creatures as though they were difficult terrain, which is good because it has no speed. It has a melee weapon attack, which a bonus equals to your spell mod, range of 10 feet. It does 1d6 plus your proficiency bonus in damage, and the angel regains hit points equal to half the damage taken. This is so cool. As a bonus action, the angel teleports up to 60 feet to an unoccupied space it can see, which is why its movement is so low. And as a reaction, when a creature other than the angel is hit while within 30 feet of the angel, teleports into the creature's space and takes the damage instead. To do so, the angel must be able to see both of the creature and the attacker. The angel then moves to the nearest unoccupied space. That's so cool. Taking a brief break to drink from a drink. Brain's cooking. Apart from the hype, apart from the heat wave, apart from the jealousy of not getting all of this stuff on D&D Beyond. Why are we not getting all of this? Why? He says, like he has any time to play any of these subclasses. I just need to finish off all of my current D&D characters. Maybe they all go to Hawaii together. Anyway, this is the other fighter subclass, the Living Nightmare. Look at this thing, it's so cool. Level 3, you get Awakened Mutation. You forever lose any training with shields and heavy armor, as your ever-changing body cannot hold on to them. Your flesh hardens and your reflexes grow, empowered by otherworldly ichor. While you're not wearing armor, your AC is 11 plus your dex and your con modifier. Very cool. To get Eldritch Weaponry, as a bonus action, you can mutate your body into morphable weapons of destruction or back to normal. These count as simple melee weapons, and you can add your strength modifier to attack rolls and damage rolls when you attack with them. When you use these weapons, you can drop any items you're holding with the limbs. Each weapon has a mastery property, which is only usable if you use a feature such as weapon mastery that unlocks the property for you. You get save modifiers, fairly standard. So you can get a stinger, which is 1d8 damage on a hit, and if you attack with it, you can take a bonus action to turn another limb into a stinger and also attack with that. The stinger has the sap weapon mastery. A hammer arm is 2d6 damage and it has the push weapon mastery, and tenderness lash is 1d4 slashing damage with a reach of 15 feet, and it has the topple weapon mastery. Very cool. You can also turn your limb into a shield. When targeted by an attack, you can take a reaction to turn one of your arms into a fleshy shield, gaining a bonus to your AC equal to 1/3 of your fighter level until the start of your next turn. That's sick. In addition, your eldritch flesh is capable of devouring some magic items. To gain their properties, you can devour the items. That's so good. You can add rapier properties to your stinger, maul properties to your hammer arm, whip properties to your lash and a shield, so you can absorb magical items to upgrade your weapons. That is so good. That is so good. I let my armor artificer do that to get the magical weapon effects on his armor weapons. That is so cool. Just glorious. Level 7, you get macabre appetite. You can use the voracious hunger that dwells within to devour the corpses of your foes and mend your flesh. We've all been there. Who hasn't been a bit hungry in the heat of battle? When you stand within 5 feet of the corpse of a creature that's died less than a week ago, you can take a bonus action to touch it and om-nom on it. You gain a number of hit points equal to the creature's CR, and you gain a proficiency in a skill with which the creature had proficiency in. If you're already proficient in that, you gain expertise instead. In addition, you can take an action to presume the creature's appearance and voice, but none of your stats change. You can only take this action if the devoured creature's size is up to 1 size larger or smaller than you, and you can take a reaction to revert to your true form. After 24 hours, or when you consume something else, you revert to your true form, you lose the inherited proficiency, and you can no longer take on the form. That's such a cool ribbon feature. I don't even know if that is a ribbon feature. It's just cool. Ascended Being, your eldritch powers give you access to powers mortals can only dream of. When you consume a creature with your macabre appetite, you also inherit all their memories from the week previous to their death. In addition, as a bonus action, you can grow a pair of eldritch wings to give your fly speed of 30 feet for 10 minutes. Once you use this bonus action, you can't do again until you finish a short long rest or expend one use of your second wind to reuse it. That's a cool use of second wind. If you want a GM note, if you want to make this a subclass more sinister, does it need to be more sinister? You can give them use of it back if they devour a humanoid with them. That's clever. Level 15 at Nightmarish Weaponry. Your weapons upgrade. With your stinger, you can replace one of the stinger attacks, each within a 30-foot cone originating from you must make a dex saving throw or take damage equal to 3 hits from your stinger. Wow, that's cool. Hammer arm, you can replace one of the hammer arm attacks and instead smash the ground below you, sending fragments flying. Each creature in a 20-foot emanation originating from you must make a dex save. On a failed save, they take damage equal to 2 hits from your hammer arm and become prone. Very cool. And the lash, you can replace a lash, 15-foot emanation originating from you, strength saving throw. On a failed save, the target takes damage equal to 1 hit from your lash and is pulled 10 feet in a straight line towards you and has the restrain condition until the next turn. You can only do this once per turn. That's so good. That's really strong, because you can make the magical too. That's really strong. Eldritch Contamination at level 18. You can temporarily infect creatures with the nightmare that lives within you, turning them into puppets. After you hit a creature with your Eldritch weaponry, you can cast the Dominate monster spell, targeting them as a bonus action, requiring no spell components. Your spellcasting ability for the spell is Constitution, and once a creature fails its save against the spell, you can't cast it again with this feature until you finish a long rest. Very cool end feature, a little niche. I say niche, but a once per long rest Dominate monster is pretty strong, especially because a lot of tables don't do that many combats per long rest, so cool. Monk, Way of the Fire Dancer. Level 3, you get Blazing Performer. You've trained your body to dance through the flames. You gain proficiency in your choice of acrobatics or performance, and you have expertise in the chosen skill. It's likely going to be performance for a monk. I feel like acrobatics is a given for most people. In addition, you gain resistance to fire damage. If you already have resistance, you can reduce the fire damage equal to 2 rolls of your martial arts die. Very cool. Like I said, with the lightning barbarian, it's a very cool way to do resistance, like bonus resistance. You also get to Dance of Fire. You're a master of weaving flames through your use of focus, creating a deadly dance. When you expend a focus point on your turn, your monk weapons and unarmed strikes catch fire until the end of your next turn. While on fire, they deal extra damage equal to your wisdom modifier. In addition, while your Dance of Fire is active, when you use Deflect Attack's reaction, your aura flashes like a furnace, forcing the attack to recoil. You can reduce the damage of the triggering attack by an additional amount equal to 2 rolls of your martial arts die. Deflect Attacks is really good, so getting a bonus to that is also really good. There's a GM note here saying that the unfair treatment of fire dances might give them a lot of resentment, which means that you can choose necrotic damage instead of fire damage as their flames become corrupted. And maybe it's just the emo metalhead teenager within me scrambling to get out, but damn, that's cool. Anyway, level 6, you get Scorching Vortex. I am also in a Scorching Vortex. You learn to entrap your foes in the flames of your dance. When you expend focus points to your Step of the Wind, if you move through the space adjacent to a creature on your turn, you can create a vortex of fire around it. The creature must make a dex save. On a failed save, they take fire damage equal to 2 rolls of your martial arts die and become trapped in a vortex of flames that appear in its space for the next minute. On a successful save, the target takes half damage only. The vortex is opaque and obstructs line of sight. If the target attempts to move out of the flames, it must first make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, it takes damage equal to 1 roll of your martial arts die and is enthralled by the flames, reducing its speed to 0 until the start of its next turn, at which point the vortex and its effects end. On a successful save, the target moves to the vortex, ending the effect. The flames do not damage other creatures. That's a really interesting use of all of the words I used. Level 11, you get new ways to expend your focus points. Very cool. Radiant Fire, when you roll initiative, you can expend 2 focus points to cast the Divine Favor spell. Wisdom is your spellcasting modifier for it. The spell's effect also affects your unarmed strikes. When the spell is active, you replace any fire damage you deal with radiant damage or vice versa. Cool. And Purifying Flames. I thought it said putrefying. As an action, you expend 1 focus point to touch a creature and infuse it with your flames. One of the following targets choice. Okay, you can end the charmed, poisoned, short-term madness condition on them. Also, when you use your flurry of blows, you can replace one of the unarmed strikes with a use of this feature without expending a focus point. And then at level 17, you get 1 with a fire. You are a master of the flames. While you are under the effects of the Dance of Fire, your body merges with the flames for the duration. You get immunity to fire damage and have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. That's a solid little boost at the end. It doesn't do anything for damage. Monks are pretty good now, guys. Plus the Divine Favor early on is going to help your damage anyway. And more tankiness is very strong. Next is the Lunar Warden Ranger, as seen here. That's a blood moon. Nifty. Level 3, you get Astral Affinity. You gain the ability to harness the energy of the moon and have the following benefits. You get a dark vision with a range of 60 feet or an additional 30 feet if you already have it. You know the light cantrip, and you get advantage on saving throws against effects directly caused by eldritch moons. Okay, cool. So these are the moon effects, which are in the main book, which is why this isn't on D&D Beyond. I'm not sad about it. You're sad about it. Level 3, you also get moon conduit. You have a number of conduit points equal to your wisdom modifier. You can expend 1 conduit point to channel a moon conduit from one of the eldritch moons. And I do this only channel 1 conduit per turn. You know the conduits, and I've said conduit way too many times in the list of the moon conduits section below. I'm being inflicted with short-term madness. You regain all expended conduit points when you finish a long rest, starting at range of level 7. When you regain all expended points when you finish a short or long rest. Cool. If you channel a moon effect that belongs to the eldritch moon currently looming over the world, the effect is more powerful, detailed in the lunar alignment section of each thing. As a Blood Moon of Rebirth, as a bonus action, you beckon the powers of the Black Goat. You and another creature of your choice within 60 feet of you can regain a number of hit points equal to your ranger level. If you're in alignment, you can affect a number of creatures of your choice within 60 feet of you can see, which regain a number of hit points equal to 1d4 times your ranger level. Also regrows missing limbs as per the regenerate spell. Very cool. Let's check another one. How many moons are there? It's quite a few. Vacuous is a great word. Let's go for Vacuous Moon. You step through the void, and when you take damage from a ranged attack, you can see within 60 feet of yourself. You can take a reaction to teleport to an empty space you can see within 10 feet of the attacker. Lunar alignment. When you channel this conduit, you take a reaction if the attacker is within 300 feet of yourself, and you can teleport to an empty space you can see within 30 feet of the attacker, and immediately after you teleport, you can make 1 weapon attack against the attacker if it is within your reach or range. Very cool. Level 11, you get more conduits. Glacial Moon. There's so many moons. I'm going to do one of these. I'm going to do the Kraken Light, because that's cool. You create a bioluminescent lore before you. As a magic action, you create a light above your head that emits dim light in a 10-foot emanation originating from you. I tried to say emanation and originating at the same time. Hostile creatures within 30 feet of you that see the lore must make a wisdom saving throw or have the charmed condition. While charmed, the creature is incapacitated, while it isn't in the light, it is compelled to move towards you. The effect lasts for 1 minute until the creature takes damage. And if in alignment, the range at which the creature can see is increased to 60 feet. Creatures have disadvantage on the saving throw, and the first time a charmed creature takes damage, the effect doesn't end. That's really nifty. Level 15, you get Celestial Tide. You can beckon the moon closer to you using its enormous mass to shift the tides of battle. That's a fantastic sentence. As a magic action, you can cast a reverse gravity spell without expending a spell slot or using material components, and the area is illuminated by bright light from the direct moonlight. When the spell ends, the lunar energy disperses and flows towards you, refreshing your lunar powers. You regain all expended conduit points. You can do this once per long rest. That's an amazing capstone feature. Good gravy. Oh, that's sick. Right, we got 3 more. We're going to do this. This isn't like, oh, I'm sad to be talking about this, because I'm not sad to be talking about this. I'm sad that not coming to D&D Beyond, because I'm petty and I'm a child. Here's this one. This is the Shadow Rogue. We have a Shadow Rogue from Cthulhu by Torchlight. This is a different one. Oh. Level 3, you get proficiency with firearms. Thanks to Umbral Weapon. In addition, you learn a Grim Ritual that creates a shadowy bond between yourself and 1 rifle. So this is like the inverse of the other one, basically, right? This is darkness, but with ranged weapons instead of melee weapons. Ritual takes an hour, it can be done during a short rest. Once you've bonded a rifle to yourself, you can't be disarmed of it unless you have the incapacitated condition. If it's on the same plane of existence with you, you can summon the rifle on your turn, causing it to teleport to your hand. It doesn't have the barrel property, it doesn't require ammunition, and it doesn't make sound when fired. You can only have 1 of these at a time. You also get shadow movement. I'm sorry, that was so cool. You become one with the shadows while you're in darkness. You can take the hide action as a bonus action, shapeshifting into a shadowy amorphous version of yourself. While in this form, you have advantage on stealth checks. You can move through a space as narrow as 1 inch without squeezing. You have a climb speed equal to your speed, and you have the incapacitated. Oh, and you have the incapacitated condition. Interesting. The transformation ends after 1 minute, or if you enter dim light or bright light, or if you take damage. You can also leave the form on your turn, no action required. If you do so and are in darkness, you can make 1 attack with your Umbral Weapon. For this attack, the weapon's damage dice is 1d4 instead of its normal damage dice, and if the attack misses, your location is not revealed. Rogue level 9, the transformation lasts for an hour. Level 9, Tenebrous Body. Your eyes are adapted to tenebrosity. I've never read that word before, that's a cool word. You can see normally in dim light and darkness, both magical and non-magical, up to 120 feet of yourself. Level 13, you get Grim Curse. Bit of a rough feature at level 9. It's a really strong level 3 collection there, and a very middling level 9 one outside of specific team compositions. And I guess the campaign setting itself, right? The setting itself. So level 13, you get Grim Curse. You can animate the shadows of your foes, turning them against each other. Whenever a target makes a saving throw against one of your Cunning Strike effects, while both you and the target are in darkness, the target must subtract 1d6 from its saving throw. In addition, you gain the following cunning strike action. Restrain. Must make a strength saving throw, become restrained. Cool. Level 17, the shadows beckon you. You can radiate an ominous aura of darkness in 10-foot emanation that originates from you. You can activate or extinguish this at will. The aura is inactive or you have the unconscious condition or in an area of direct sunlight. In addition, as part of the reaction, when you use your uncanny dodge feature, you can teleport to an unoccupied space within 30 feet of yourself that is in dim light or darkness. This one is a real flavor win and really mixed power-wise. I think the Blade of Radiance is a lot stronger and honestly a lot more mechanically interesting than this. But if you're playing in a party with like a Shadow Monk and the Darkness Sorcerer from Cthulhu by Torchlight, this is going to be the most incredible party composition, but I do think it's limited to that kind of vibe. We have the Sorcerer now, the Scion of Madness. He's just a furry little guy. Look at him. Level 3, you get Madness spells. You get Bludgeoning Horror, Dissonant Whispers, Otherworldly Gaze, and Hideous Laughter. Level 5, you get Malicious Rancor and Radiant Slaughter. Level 7, you get Compulsion and Dread Scarecrow. And level 9, you get Contact Other Plane and Divine Order Reveal. You also get Mind of Madness at level 3. The depraved insanity that lurks within you is always torturing your mind. Yet in this chaos you find power. Whenever you gain a madness, you can choose to re-roll on the appropriate table, gaining a different effect. In addition, when a creature attempts to read your thoughts or scry on you, it can only witness the insanity that ravages you, and it takes psychic damage equal to your sorcerer level. The attempt fails, and it must succeed in a wisdom saving throw, or gain a short-term madness. That's very cool. Also at level 3, you get Spread of Chaos. You can infuse your magic with your Eldritch Insanity. When you cast a spell I think there's an extra space between here. It looks like there's 2 spaces here. Have I mentioned how much ADHD I have? And also I write for a living. It's a real curse. That's my madness. You can infuse your magic with Eldritch Insanity. When you cast a spell at level 1 or higher that doesn't have a range of self, you can cause each creature affected by the spell to make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the creature gains a short-term madness and has incapacitate condition until the start of its next turn. That's very cool. I mean, you can hit people with Chromatic Orb and just, like, knock them out as well. That's really strong. That might be too strong. If your spell targets more than one creature, there we go. I should have kept reading. That's on me. You must make a charisma saving throw against a DC equal to 10 plus the spell level, plus the number of creatures targeted by the spell. On a failed save, the spell fails and you gain 1 short-term madness, but you do not expend the spell slots nor use the use of this feature. On a successful save, each creature is targeted as normal. Once you use this feature, you must cast a sorcerer spell with a spell slot or finish a long rest before you can use this feature again, so it's every other spell. If you do cast a sorcerer spell with a spell slot before you finish a long rest, you automatically roll in the short-term madness table. If the spell requires concentration, you maintain it even if you gain the stun condition, and thus the incapacitate condition, as a result of rolling on the short-term madness table. Cool. Depths of Depravity. You can let the insanity within you warp the magic of the world. When a creature you can see within 120 feet of yourself makes a saving throw, if you are affected by at least 1 madness, you can take a reaction to add insanity to the magic, giving the creature disadvantage on the saving throw. If the creature fails the saving throw, you feed on the ensuing chaos. You regain a number of expended sorcery points equal to the number of madnesses affecting you, and can choose to end any number of those madnesses. Once you use this feature to regain sorcery points, you can't do it until you finish a short or long rest. Cool. Level 14, Powers of Insanity. Where insanity rots the mind and body of most, it only serves to strengthen you. When you roll on a madness table and roll a d10 to determine which aspect of the madness overtakes you, you can roll a second d10 and choose the lower result of the 2. Cool. In addition, gaining madness doesn't cause you to have the stun condition. Okay, and finally, 18, Maddening Hunger. Your magic feeds on the insanity of this world. Whenever you gain madness, you regain expended sorcery points, short-term madness, 1d4 sorcery points, and long-term madness, 2d4 sorcery points, and indefinite madness, 4d4 sorcery points. That's cool. Very risky, high risk, high reward playstyle, which is cool. Very wild magic-y, honestly. This is the Warlock of the Void. He's my friend. I don't know what else to say about that. Spells. Level 3, Featherfall, Gravity Leap, Levitate, Otherworldly Gaze. Level 5, Astral Barrage and a Blink. Level 7, Black Tentacles and Resilient Fear, and level 9, Starfall and Telekinesis. You also get Fugite on at level 3. You partially ignore the shackles of gravity and can hover up to 1 foot off the ground. You can ascend and descend as part of your movement, and you fall if you're above that height. If you would gain the prone condition while hovering this way, you are instead made to stand on the ground. That's really interesting. Also at level 3. Oh, that's a lot of stuff. Alright. Let's do it. Let's go. This is the last subclass. Man, these are all so cool, but it's so warm in my office. I've been recording for 1 hour and 41 minutes at this point. As a bonus action, you create a zone of impossible gravity centered in an unoccupied space you can see within 60 feet of yourself. It lasts for a minute and requires concentration. You can use this once per long rest unless you expend a packed magic slot, no action required, to restore your use of it. You make a black hole. The gravity manifests at 5-foot diameter, I'm just going with it, sphere, and is considered difficult terrain for creatures other than you. Creature that enters the sphere for the first time on a turn or starts its turn there takes 1d6 bludgeoning damage and has the restrained condition while inside the sphere. If the sphere isn't on the ground, creatures restrained by it hover within it. That's so cool. A creature reduced to 0 hit points while in the sphere is destroyed along with any non-magical object it is wearing or carrying. Restrained creature can make a strength athletics check against your spell save DC to try to escape. Gravitational influence extends 5 feet beyond the sphere. Unsecured objects will be pulled in a straight line towards it. When you create the black hole and as a bonus action on later turns, you can intensify the pull on one specific creature. You can see the target must make a strength save or be pulled in a straight line towards the center, stopping at the nearest unoccupied space to the sphere. And at higher levels, level 5, the influence zone goes to 10 feet and is considered difficult terrain for creatures other than you. At level 7, the diameter of the sphere is gone up to 10, and you can summon it in spaces that are occupied by creatures. And at level 9, the damage of the warlock black hole goes up to 2d6 and the influence zone goes up to 20 feet. That scales so quickly. That's pretty cool. Level 6, you get gravitational pull. When a creature you can see within 60 feet of the black hole of your voracious void feature is targeted by a ranged attack, you can take a reaction to divert the strike. Make a charisma saving throw with a DC equal to the attack roll. On a success, you deflect the projectile towards the center of the black hole and the attack instead. It's a randomly determined creature within it, if any, is present. Starting at level 14, you always succeed on the saving throw. That's kind of cool. Level 10, warp gravity. You can bend gravity around you at will, allowing you to move through the air as if you were walking on solid ground. You gain a fly speed equal to your speed and can hover. You can grant this benefit to one creature of your choice that is touching you. The benefit lasts until the target is no longer in contact with you, or you give this benefit to another creature. That's cool. You can hold hands and walk through the sky. And level 14, oblivion. You can unleash the ravenous hunger of the void. When you activate your voracious void feature, you can choose to let it run wild. In that case, a creature in the influence zone makes the saving throw against gravitational surge when you create the black hole, and whenever it starts its turn there instead of as a bonus action. In addition, the damage of your black hole goes up to 46, and you and your choice of a number of creatures equal to your charisma modifier aren't affected by the gravitational surge. You can do this once per long rest. That's really interesting. I don't know how to rate that power-wise. I don't know how to rate that. So once per... It's all the void, right? That's the thing that you have. It's just the void, which is a once per long rest or when you pact magic. This is arguably a good thing to be concentrating on. And when you combine it with things like the push effect from Eldritch Blast, the invocation that does that, repelling blasts, repelling something, you can potentially constantly be knocking creatures into the black hole, which is sick. So that's really cool, but it's theoretically only a number of times per long rest, so it really depends on how many times you're fighting during a day. But I do like the vibe. One final thing before we end the review section of the video, I want to go over a couple of the Eldritch invocations that come with the 5.5e version of the book, which are not coming to D&D Beyond, sadly. With most of these, I think all of these potentially. Yeah, so all of these are Pact of the Trigger based, with the main one being Pact of the Trigger. You can take a magic action to draw upon the powers of your patron and create a hex gun in your empty hand. Each time you create it, choose either revolver form or sniper form, detailed below. You can use your hex gun as a spell casting focus for your warlock spells. If it disappears, if it's more than 5 feet away from you for a minute, and it also disappears if you use the feature again, if you dismiss it, or if you can cast cantrips with your hex gun, it channels them as bullets. Oh, that's so cool! Instead of increasing the damage of cantrips when you reach certain levels, you can cast the cantrip additional times as part of the same action, except for Eldritch Blast, which is cast as normal. That's sick. To be cast this way, the cantrip must deal damage, must make a spell attack or require a saving throw, and must have a range other than self. When you cast a cantrip in this manner, you cast it 2 times at 5, 3 at 11, 4 at 17. So cool. It can deal damage once, but can't deal any other effects. It can't be applied again this turn. In revolver form, you know the Shocking Grasp cantrip. In addition, with being within 5 feet of a hostile creature, doesn't impose disadvantage on your ranged attack rolls through this hex gun. And in sniper form, you get the Ray of Frost cantrip. Your attack rolls through the hex gun have their range doubled and ignore half cover. And then basically all of these are buffs to that and to specific forms, or not. So you can get more movement or specific abilities. It's really cool. With that, I hope that you have already bought the Steinhardt's Guide to the Eldritch Hunt player pack on D&D Beyond, and probably ordered the 5.5e update as well. Links in the description in the video. This is very specifically my kind of book. This is the kind of horror I adore. This is the kind of feature design I fall in love with. For the most part, all of the subclasses are incredibly cool and deeply fascinating. The flavor never fails. The power level is a little hard to gauge, with the Shadow Rogue and the Warlock both being a little hard to judge on first first glance. But overall, what a fantastic bunch of subclasses. I will be back again tomorrow to talk about the species and the spells we're getting D&D Beyond, along with some of the items as well. That will be mostly a D&D Beyond look, but I will give little glimpses of other stuff as well, purely because there are 204 pages to this PDF, which is more than I can realistically go over in any number of videos without truly succumbing to the eyes on the inside. And I need to not do that. I have other stuff to do, you know? But I hope you enjoyed this. This has been a blast. I've just think it's sick. And thank you so much to Monkey DM and Steinhardt's Guide to the Eldritch Hunt for sponsoring me. Makes me feel like a real big boy YouTuber. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. You can check out other reviews I've done here and here. I'll probably go for Grim Hollow and Crooked Moon. Those both make sense. And I will see you whenever it is I next see you. I hope that you are doing well and that you continue to do well and that you have a wonderful week ahead of you, filled with exceptionally cool Eldritch stuff. I am so glad we have such a packed third-party schedule ahead of us for the next few months, and I'm looking forward to covering everything I can, basically. But that is it for me. I will bid you adieu. Goodbye.